Welcome to the CodeCast podcast. Real-world insights for your daily medical coding and billing processes. And now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CodeCast podcast. My name is Terry Fletcher. Happy to have you today. Hope you're having a good November so far. And for those of you already experiencing snow, please stay safe and warm. So last week I had some fun with ICD-10 coding, CM coding, and the fall season. But this week I wanted to just talk about working in the medical field during the holiday season. I know it can be a little tough because we don't really have holidays. We're kind of open a lot. And so since we rarely get the same holidays off as other businesses do, think about the positives and how it can help you reconnect with not only your patients, but your staff, your coworkers, and your physicians. And so I just want to just kind of give you some insight there as you're trying to figure out how to navigate through the fall with all the craziness that's going on. And hopefully this will really help you to keep on track with your work and your focus on your career. But first, today's CodeCast is also brought to you by Kaiser Permanente of Southern California. Find them on the web at kp.org. And Chicago Area Health Information Technology Association, ilhema.org. Okay, so it's funny because I was looking at some different articles recently and just immersing myself in now a new podcast as the host on the Paycom podcast. You know, it's funny when you really focus on coding and billing and reimbursement, which is my core. I never really kind of get away from that core. But then just trying to dabble in the practice management and looking at some of these things, I find that a lot of times you don't always see what's right in front of you. And there's no denying that many benefits come with working in healthcare. One of the things, job security is sound. The pay is good. The work can make you feel satisfied and accomplished. And let's face it, and this is going to sound kind of crass, and it doesn't mean to be, but the sicker people are, the more you know you have a job. But the more well people feel and the better the economy, the better insurance they buy. And again, you still have a job. So the healthcare field is pretty consistent as far as job security. So while there are many positives, the medical field also has some drawbacks. So sickness doesn't take vacations, as we know, or holidays, which makes working in healthcare harder to navigate than the usual job. So nurses, other healthcare workers, us as billing, coding, and administrative professionals in healthcare, we're often expected to work a rotating schedule, sometimes nights, weekends, and even holidays. And spending the holidays away from your family is not ideal for everyone, and sometimes you really have to be flexible. I mean, if you look at me and my business, I rarely close. So even though there is a timestamp on my doors saying that I try to take off, I'm actually, what are my hours? I put in maybe 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time till about 8 p.m. Eastern Time because I'm always available. That's, to me, for my business, what makes, a good consultant. But when you look at this as far as what your expectation is, spending the holidays, it can be unfortunate reality, again, just being away from your family and having to cover for other people. But despite the obvious negatives of working a holiday, sometimes there's some positive aspects that really come with holiday work. And I just want to give you some benefits of working the holiday in the medical field. And hopefully this will give you some insight and maybe just a little bit of a better focus for what you're looking at for the fall and give you a positive for your job as you head into Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and Christmas and New Year's and all of that. So first of all, there's more opportunity. Use this as an opportunity to stand apart from the crowd. Step up to the plate and working a holiday shift when others can't. That can be extremely beneficial, almost like you have something in your back pocket. And it shows that you're willing to go the extra mile. There'll be opportunities to not only network with physicians because they're in a better mood. They come out and they talk to people that are there, especially when they don't feel like they're seeing every coworker that works for your organization and company and practice, and coworkers connection as well. You'll be able to network with coworkers maybe that you didn't get to talk to before. And it will also give you an extra influence when requesting time off in the future. Say, since I, did cover this, can I get a half day here and there, especially if you've got young children or something that you want to do. One of the things, especially with working parents, and I say that parents, not just moms, that when you're out there and you don't always want to just take off because your kid's sick. Sometimes you want to have a half day because your daughter or son has a, soccer game or a softball game or something that you want to be there and see. And it's in during the hours of work. So again, look at holiday working for somebody as an opportunity that will help you in the future as well. So it's kind of a reciprocal effort. Also, the intimate atmosphere. Because it's a holiday, the atmosphere is usually quieter and sometimes more peaceful. Think of all the paperwork stacks you can get through on your desk. One of the things I like to do is work sometimes on a Saturday morning and just come in to my busy office and, and I can have the doors open, I can have the outside door open, and I don't hear anybody. I can just have quiet if that's what I want and just really get some focus and work done without having to attack my desk and put out fires all the time. And use this time to build a strong bond with some of your coworkers and do a little more for your patients. During the holidays, there's a different feeling in the air. People are a little nicer. There's a more jovial environment, well, typically. And on a typical day, it's easy to get caught up on the hustle and bustle and overlook the opportunities to extend just a little extra kindness. But when things slow down a bit, there's some wiggle room to make patients feel the love and care that you maybe pushed, aside that you couldn't do it in the first place. But, in healthcare, that's something we should be doing anyway. And on a holiday, sometimes there could be patients who are feeling lonely or medical workers, that don't have family. And now you have an opportunity to step in, connect, and just be there for people that maybe didn't have somebody else there. And especially if you're a really positive person, having you in the office while let everybody else, be stressed outside the office, that'll be great for the atmosphere. The other thing is better pay. Okay, so let's really look at some of the obvious benefits here. Holiday pay is great. Now, if you're on salary, you may not get that, but this is something an employer should consider. So if I have office managers or administrators, listening on the podcast today, you might want to incorporate something in your policy with regard to a little bit better pay. Now, pay doesn't always come in monetary value on your paycheck. It could be that you get an extra half day off in a certain month, or you can take a floating half day, or you can take your birthday off if you work a holiday. A lot of practices have started doing that. And so though policies can vary, most medical centers do offer overtime if you're in the hospital setting, sometimes double time to their employees who work on the holidays. And so sometimes there's maybe even, a bonus or some extra paid time off. So check into that. You never know what could be there for you. And then I know this sounds, kind of very, sappy, but increased job and personal satisfaction. You really have to take a look at that and take a step back. As a healthcare worker, you know that with any shift work, you are helping others. This is especially true during the holidays. Not only are you helping to relieve your busy coworker, but you can make a patient feel extra special during a really tough time. Typically patients are extremely appreciative of the medical staff that are working on a holiday. Patients would like to be home with their families too, so a smiling, positive face and attitude can make a huge difference for them. Now, the last one I have on this, and this is, you know how I make lists, and this is my fifth benefit of working on a holiday in the medical field. Well, if you're on a diet, this doesn't help you, but think of the food, whether you're at work or at school, an office, a medical facility. Holiday treats are always a hot commodity. So cookies, coffees, cakes, chocolates, they're never in short supply, are they? And patients' family members often bring treats in as a thank you and to make your day a little bit more festive. So most medical facilities will make it a point to provide food as well and other treats for employees who are working a holiday shift. Now, I see that more in the hospital setting, but, practices for physicians, you might want to consider that because it really makes a difference if you can say, we're going to bring in lunch today. And it just makes everybody a little bit happier. Try to bring in things that are not sweet. You're going to get a lot of treats from, again, your patients and patients' family members. So if you can bring in bagels one day, or if you can bring in, fruit platters, something, well, I know that's a little sweet, but you know what I mean, a little healthier. Even people really appreciate a sandwich bar. I don't like sandwich trays. I like sandwich bars. So, where people can choose what they want to eat. And I do that a lot. Or even say, hey, if you work today a half day, we're bringing in actually a breakfast bar. So some things like that can really make people feel special, that you're caring about them and they don't have to leave the office until they're ready. And so, the food can be anything. But like any career, working in the medical field, of course, has its disadvantages. But working the occasional holiday shift will usually be considered, a benefit. And so I don't look at it as a disadvantage. I don't look at it as surviving the holiday shift. I look at it as a positive, a benefit, and a way that you can not only show your coworkers that you're a team player and that you're there for them, but now give some extra attention to patients if you can. Also, for those of you thinking about this and you're saying, well, if I'm a coder, biller, or really back office, worker, how can I really help in this? Because we're really close, because we're not on the front lines. Offer to, cover for front desk. You want to appreciate your job in the billing office and the coding department, work a front desk shift, especially during the holidays. You will be thinking, wow, those front desk people, they really have a tough job. And checking people in and out and catering to physicians who are on call and dealing with everything that comes with working front desk. You can never appreciate anything in life until you step into that person or that situation shoes. And so it's just something that you might want to consider. And since you have the billing background, if any questions come up on that as well, then you can be right there for that patient. So, and it also, if you're filling in there, it's not just so much to say, also, wow, what is this person doing? But because sometimes I see a little bit of critiquing there, but you could see maybe where there's a need that needs to be filled in that front desk with all the questions you got that day. Maybe talking about that there should be a liaison somewhere, and that could be an idea you bring up to administration after saying, hey, I worked up there. I know what the front desk is going through, and they do need to have some kind of a billing liaison that's up there supporting them. So there's all kinds of positives there that you really want to embrace. Okay, our coding question today, I've got one on knee injuries and diagnosing knee injuries. So the question comes from one of my Montana subscribers to my membership. And it says, Terry, a new patient reports with a right knee pain, which the orthopedist suspects to be a possible ligament tear. The physician takes a detailed history, and during the course of a detailed exam, she decides to perform an MRI with contrast. The MRI didn't confirm the knee tear, but she diagnosed a grade 3 right knee sprain, lateral sublux patella. How should I code this encounter? Okay, so the doctor suspected something, but you can't use that suspect diagnosis. So first of all, your imaging, the 73722, that's an MRI with contrast of any lower extremity joint. And then you're going to append the modifier RT for right side. You always want to indicate laterality on 70,000 codes. Payers typically require it. Provided the notes prove that your physician supported this significantly separate identifiable E&M service, so that I read from that question that it was detailed, and moderate medical decision making. So that would be 99203, because you have to meet 3 out of 3 criteria. And typically that medical decision making is low, but they met 2 out of 3. So you have to go backwards on what you met 3 out of 3. So 99203 would be appropriate, possibly the 25 modifier. And then your diagnosis. So lateral subluxation of the right patella, which would be S83.011. That code does not require a laterality 7th digit, because you have it within the 6 digits. So it already says right patella. And so you would have the MRI, the office visit, and then the S83.011 for your diagnosis. Okay, and then something came up recently, and the advanced diagnostic alert, I might have mentioned it last week, I don't remember, but there, for those of you who do PET scans and CT scans and nuclear medicine, the Medicare came out with a rule basically saying you're going to have to deal with some new modifiers and line items to add on, and it's basically something that is called appropriate use criteria for advanced diagnostic imaging. Well, what came out, and they said it's effective January 1st, 2020, was the information is effective. It's not going to affect any of the ordering physicians, but it will affect the physicians trying to get paid. Because as of 2021, and this took a while to read through and find that, you are going to have to basically put this information into a criteria website to make sure that why the patient is being referred for the test is appropriate for that actual test. So it's almost like a form of pre-authorization. And so anyway, you want to make sure that you're pulling up the MedLearn Matters fact sheet. So the MLN fact sheet, which is ICN 909377. And it's from the CMS Medicare Learning Network. And so make sure you pull that up, you read through it, you know what you have to do. They will not let physicians just put their head in the sand anymore. You're going to have to really pay attention to that because it's going to be a lot of work in 2021. You notice how they're really targeting that date? That's when the new E&M guidelines for office take effect, the advanced diagnostics, and we're also going to have some updates for some other procedural coding. So 2021, we're going to be in the hot seat. And I think they're also thinking of, and that's also when some of the implementation for the Stark rules come into effect. So that's going to be interesting. And then our last question is the proposed code. So for the cardiology practices that are doing device checks, if you have a patient that has a ILR, which is an internal loop recorder, implantable loop recorder, there was a proposed code that replaced code 93299, which was the technical aspect of a device check. And they proposed a GTTT, so Terry 1, and that was a temporary placeholder. And now it's actually being replaced by the code G0266, worth about $36, and that's now billed with the code 93298. So when you do remote device checks for internal, implantable, I keep on calling it internal, implantable loop recorder, or for any kind of sub-Q device remote check, then you have two codes, and they only let us have, used to let us have the 93298 and 99, but the 99 was deleted, and now they are monitoring the technical portion, which is the G0266. Remember, whenever you get a G code from Medicare, a new code, I always look at it as, gee, we're watching you. It's a tracking code. They're now looking to see how you use it, making sure you don't abuse it, and do you understand the process for that code? So just keep that in mind when you see that. But there was a few placeholder G codes. And remember, if you see that TTT, or if you only have one numeric digit in there, that means it's a placeholder. You have to go find the actual HCPCS code that was produced for those codes this year. So make sure you have updated yourself on those. Our coding questions were brought to you today by Amazon Prime Video Original Series, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. In this Amazon original series, thriller CIA analyst Ryan is focused on terrorist communication on the global scale. It's in its second season, and you can watch now on Amazon Prime Video today at amazon.com/Prime Video. I've actually started watching this, so it was funny when they reached out for me to be a sponsor. It's really good. So if you can go back and start at season 1, it is really good. And there's subtitles. So we call it, you can't, what did my daughter and I talk about? It's not a second screen show. What that means is you can't be on your phone, you can't be on your tablet watching a video or watching a movie. How many of you sit down and say, oh, tonight we're going to watch a video, or we're going to watch a movie as a family, and then you as a parent or your kids or somebody is on their phone? We call that a second screen. You can't second screen this. You have to make sure that you're watching it intently. Grab, some tea, grab yourself a glass of wine, grab yourself whatever you need, and turn off your phone. Just put it down, put it on silent, put it away from you so you can't even grab it, and really get into this show. It's really good. So hopefully you like it, and let me know. It's based on those Tom Clancy books from The Hunt for Red October and all of those. So, but it's really good. And it's not gross. Or no, some of those, some videos out there now and some of those things, they focus too much on the gross part of thrillers. Remember, I was getting into Scandal and The Blacklist and some of that a few years back, and I was like, this is getting beyond disgusting. This isn't like that. This is just true. It's just really good. It's just a true thriller, and it's really good. I love it. The writing is excellent. So today I wanted to end, and I'm a little grumpy because you probably have been just checking in on my Steelers for me. And you know that since I've talked to you last time, we won one, lost one. So now we're 5-5. But the Thursday night football game that we had on the 14th, oh my gosh, 8 seconds left in the game. There was a brawl that broke out. Many players were suspended. One was for the whole season for ripping the helmet off of my second string quarterback and then hitting him in the head with it. Yeah, that's really helpful. And then people were fined, and so we're 5-5 now. And everybody was at fault. There were so many at fault. There was retaliation. It was ugly. And so I'm having a rough season without my franchise quarterback, Big Ben, to say the least. So I'm just trying to get through it. 6 more games, and I'm just praying we end with a winning record. So, oh my gosh, it is painful right now. But on the plus side, I've been trying to do what I profess as far as taking some mental breaks from work, and hopefully you're doing the same, and having some friends over for dinner parties at my house. Now, not parties in the sense that there's paper hats and, streamers, but basically 4 to 10 people. And it's funny because it seems like when I invite a couple, then that couple tells a couple, and then they want to bring the couple. And I usually end up with 6 to 10 to 12 people at my house. But we just had one recently. I love the board games. I'm having another one this coming weekend. And I love games that make you laugh. So if you want to play a fun game, if you've never heard of it, go find it. It's $4 on Amazon. It's called Left, Right, Center. It's for adults and kids, so you can even play with your kids if you want. But it's really fun with adults if you play with money. So get 3 single $1 bills, 3 per person. They have to bring if you're going to have some kind of a dinner at your house, and you can again find it on Amazon, and tell me what you think. It's also a great stocking stuffer because it's just something small you can slide into a stocking, but it is such a fun game, and it's so easy to learn. And if you're drinking wine or drinking beer or drinking whatever you drink with it, you don't have to be completely coherent. So it's very fun. That's all I'm saying. You can have a really good time with that, and hopefully all of you will find it pretty fun. So next week I'll have my Talk 10 Tuesday with all kinds of coding and billing questions to cover. And then I've asked to talk about palliative care and medical necessity in one of my episodes. And I thank you, Pam. And I am going to do that. So as we hit into December, I am going to try to bring that up as a topic and really talk about how important that is. So that's it for me on this Terry Tuesday. Make it a great day and a great week. Remember to rate us and review us wherever you listen and download your podcasts. And thank you for those that have. We so appreciate that. We're still consistently at 5 stars and getting the best ratings ever and reviews. So I truly appreciate that. And thank you for listening to the CodeCast podcast.
For more information on medical coding, billing, auditing, and compliance, including how to hire Terry, follow Terry on Twitter at TerryCoder1. Or visit her website at www.terryfletcher.net. Podcast producer Joe Kuzma. Music producer Dassassin Music.